Hi Amy, this is your chapter for this week. It's on capacity, topic 28, page 176, and it's about how much a container can hold. So it's measured in litres and millilitres.
Can I see that?
I just want you to take down the measurements for capacity here. 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres, and written as a decimal fraction, that's 1.0 litres. 3/4 of a litre is 750 millilitres, which is equal to 0.75 litres. Half a litre is 500 millilitres, equals 0.5 litres. And a quarter of a litre is 250 mils, equals 0.25 litres. So if you can write that in your maths copybook first. So this middle bit here is looking at units of measurement. So you can read that yourself and see if you have anything you can measure with at home for part B below. So estimate and measure the capacity of each of these items. What will you choose as your measuring instruments? So you can try whatever you have at home. You can do a few of those ones. Estimate it. What does it actually hold, and what's the difference between your estimate and what it held? So now on the next page, you have measuring smaller amounts. So at home, you might have things like a Calpol measure, syringes, or those kind of things for medicines. So what is the capacity of the graduated jug? What is the size of the intervals between the marked measures and the jug? What is the capacity of the graduated cylinder? And what size are its intervals? So what you're looking at in these ones is what's the gap between them that's shown on jugs, etc. So on the 1 litre jug, you can see it goes up in hundreds. And on the smaller cylinder, it's going up in 20s. So they're the units of measure on each of those. So this part is you draw the wee shape into your copybook, the cylinders, and put in the amounts on each one. That's easy enough. I don't think that should cause you any problems. Just the last one is done a different measure. It's 1/10 of a litre. So how much would that be? That would be 10 millilitres. Sorry, Amy, the last one would be 100 millilitres, not 10. So you'd colour in the full amount. 1/10 of a litre would be 100 millilitres.
Mummy, I'm doing my schoolwork.
Good girl. Part C is similar to the other page, so you could do a few of those as well. So this is page 178. It's looking at decimal fractions of a litre. So putting them into a fraction and then changing that into a decimal again. And they're quite small quantities, as you can see by the size of the measuring instrument here. So the first one is 100 millilitres. It's what percentage or what fraction? It's 1/10 of a litre. And if you write it as a decimal fraction, it's 0.1 litres. The next one is 10 millilitres. That's 1/100th of a litre. So it's 0.01 litres. And the next one then is a smaller measure again. It's 1 millimetre, which is 1 out of 1,000, which is 0.001 litre. That's what the three of those look like. If you want to take them, stop the tape and take them into your copybook as well, so that you have the fraction and you also have the decimal fraction of each of those. So part A below is look at the quality in millilitres shown by the red arrows. What decimal fraction of a litre is in each amount? So you need to look carefully at the jug, find out what's the interval between each one. Looking at, so you'll see these are litre jugs, the first three, but then you have 200 mils and 200 mils. So count what the interval is between them and write it down as a decimal fraction for each one. So A, you have 2, A, B, C and D, and that's the same for all of them. I'll call out the answers for you now. So A, the measure's at 900 millilitres, okay, and that as a decimal fraction would be 0.9 L. B is 600 millilitres, so 0.6 L. C is 300 millilitres, 0.3 L. And D is 100 millilitres, 0.1 L. So number two, A is 700 mils equals 0.7 L. B is 500 mils, 0.5 L. And C is 200 mils, 0.2 L. 3 is A is 800 mils, 0.8 L. B is 600 mils, 0.6 L. C is 400 mils, 0.4 L. And D is 200 mils, 0.2 L. And the fourth jug then is A is 180 mils, so that would be 0.18 L. B is 130 mils, 0.13 L. C is 80 mils, which would be 0.08 L, and the last one there, D, is 30 mils, which would be 0.03 L. And the last one there, number 5, A is 150 mils, 0.15 L. B is 120 mils, 0.12 L. C is 80 mils, 0.08 L. And D is 20 mils, 0.02 L. So part B, you have to draw in the cylinders and mark the quantities given on the your cylinder, okay? So they're all out of 100 on this one, I think. Yeah, they are. So you put in the place. So A, you should put down 30 mils, B, 70 mils, and C, 60 mils. That's number 1. Number 2, you should have drawn in 90 mils, B, 40, and C, 50 mils. 3, A, 100 mils, B, 72 mils, and C, 64 mils. Number 4, A, 16 mils, B, 18 mils, C, 68 mils. Number 5, A, is 1 milliliter, B is 7 milliliters, and C is 4 milliliters. Number 6, A is 54 milliliters, B is 34 milliliters, and C is 28 milliliters. And 7A is 2 milliliters, B is 9 milliliters, and C is 94 milliliters. So part C is looking at what's the quantities on these labels. So number 1 is 3/4 as a fraction and as a decimal fraction 0.75. B is 1/10 or 0.1. 3 is a half or 0.5. 4 is 3/10 or 0.3. 5 there is 9/20 or 0.45. 6 is a quarter or 0.25. G is 2 or 2.0 as a decimal fraction. And 38 would be 38 out of 1,000 or 0.038. Number 5 might have been the only one that you might be wondering where 9/20 came out of. So it would be 450 out of 1,000. So drop off the zeros. So that's the same as 45 out of 100. And then you can reduce that divide it by 5. So divide both parts by 5. So 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 100 divided by 5 is 20, which is 9/20. Now the next page is 179, Flynn Fuels, and it's looking at the price of diesel and petrol and home heating oil at a garage. Okay, so you have to read the wee bit first, and I've marked certain ones of these to do. So Flynn Fuels price list. The first price list shows the price Flynn Fuels buy their fuel at. So this is known as the cost price. This is this one. The second 2 price lists at Flynn's shows the price Flynn sell their petrol and diesel and home heating oil at. So this is the forecourt where motorists drive in and get their diesel or petrol. And then the home heating oil, this is the price of those. Okay, so you have a number of questions to do. Number 1A, how much is a litre of petrol to the nearest cent of Flynn Fuels? So if you look up here at the petrol price, now that's 119.9 cent. So to the nearest cent, you round up the 0.9, so it would actually be 120 cent. So you can just write it as 120 cent per L for per litre. Okay. Second one, how much is a litre of diesel to the nearest cent? Again, you're rounding up, so you should have got 110 cent per litre. So number 2, the diesel tank of a Ford Mondeo has a maximum capacity of 57 litres. How much is the cost of a full tank of diesel and a half a tank of diesel to the nearest cent? So for that one, so it's a diesel car, so you're looking at the diesel price, which is 109.9, and you're multiplying that by 57. So just write it out for multiplying and do your multiplying the same way you always do. So if you multiplied it, you should have got 6264.3, but remember that's in cent because we were working out cent per litre. So you're going to have to change that into euro amount. So to change it to the euro, you move the decimal point 2 more places to the left, okay? Because you're dividing it by 100. So that's 1 place, 2 place. So the price in euro is €62.64. Okay. And what happens, the 3? Well, it's you can round it. They have rounded it there. They said to round it to the nearest cent. So a 3 will round down, which means that would stay 64 and not go into